It's the ultimate travel guide from the people who know it best. Weekends with Yankee. Baked beans are an American tradition, dating back to the early 1800s. In 1867, George Burnham and Charles Morrill started canning and producing B&M products, both nationally and internationally. Today, the B&M Factory is a landmark here on Casco Bay in Portland, Maine. Inside, the over 150-year-old company is cooking up baked beans, and a nostalgic treat that's unheard of most everywhere outside of New England, canned brown bread.
The history of brown bread, just like the baked beans, is a tradition that's as old as our country. Settlers had settled into New England and had traditionally grown only wheat. They found that the crops were finicky in the New England changing weather, so they began growing rye meal as well. The local Native Americans also introduced them to cornmeal, and the combination of the three meals led to the introduction of brown bread. How it became a Saturday night tradition actually was that the Puritans would celebrate the Sabbath, and part of the rules of the time were you could not cook on a Sunday. So baked beans and brown bread became a convenient way for them to cook all day Saturday with a product that would keep through Sunday that allowed them to enjoy the meal twice. So brown bread was born out of necessity, but it became a tradition dating back to before the founding of our own country as a Saturday night tradition in New England.
B&M has always been known for its canned goods, but it didn't start out with brown bread.
Originally, Burnham and Morrill opened as a seafood cannery, as well as local vegetables around the area, so lobster, clams, codfish, corn, green beans. The mid-1920s, as agriculture began to shift to the Midwest, Charles Morrill began experimenting with value-add foods, such as baked beans and brown bread, which were a New England tradition already. And this allowed people to enjoy that without having to spend an entire day baking.
Canned brown bread continues to be popular to this day among New Englanders.
Today, we still produce over 1 million cans of brown bread per year. Outside of New England, nobody's really ever heard of canned bread. Brown bread has remained largely unchanged for over 300 years. The process of cooking it over an open hearth is really no different than what we're doing today. Brown bread can be served multiple ways. Some people fry it, some toast it. Growing up, my mother would serve brown bread fried with butter on it. B&M had started over 150 years ago, and we hope that families into the next century continue to carry on their tradition of New England baked bean and brown bread dinners.